So welcome to Midday Muse. This is the podcast where deep discussions about the realities of life that will inspire you as you pursue your purpose. So today I have my amazing guest, Ascento. This is one of my closest friends. Like, I'm saying one of, like, it's a lot, but my circle's like that. That's all. we have we've known each other for quite some time. I know how many years. Like, it's got to be more than 20 by now.
Yeah.
And have experienced great things in life together, as well as tragedies and horrible things in life together. So today I have brought on my sister from another, Mr. Ascento. We're just gonna chop shit up with you today. We're gonna touch on various subjects. I asked Diasta to put together 5 questions. Well, and we're just gonna converse with you guys and just touch on different things that we've had that speak to our hearts, and yeah, let's go. So first you have to introduce yourself to the people.
I thought you was gonna do that. I thought you was introducing me. No. All right. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining in. So this is my first time. This is my first time live ever. Those who know me know I do not do social media well. So thank you, Tanea, for the invitation. Again, my name is Ascento, one of Tanea's greatest friends, and I'm just a bit about myself. I'm a mom. I have 2 beautiful children, Noah and Hannah, and they are literally my lifeline. They keep me going. As Tanea mentioned, we have been through a bit of life together, the ups, the downs, and the absolute in between. And today we're just going to touch a bit on that experience and how we feel we can give you a little bit of nuggets to get you through, because each one of us are going through, whether it's good times, the bad times, whatever it is, whatever your journey, wherever you are on your journey, you're going through. And we feel that we have come this far because of the connection we have. So we just want to give you a bit of information on that. So I'm at my day job now, where I am the Assistant Director of Engineering for the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club. But my passion and my love is to serve others in a way that I can help them to experience the best side of life. And I do that through a platform called Be You. It's dedicated to women, just loving on women, creating a safe space for women to learn what it's like to be the best expression of themselves. Strip off the mask and the labels that society tends to bring, and just determine who you are. Firstly, who you are in your higher calling, in your higher purpose, and then, what it is that you want to bring to the table. So we'll get into that a bit more, but let's get started. So sorry, Tanea said, Diasta, we're going to have just one of our general conversations. So those of you who are listening, welcome to our conversation.
So Diasta, so I said let's put together 5 questions. I'll be honest with you, I didn't put together the questions. I said
I know you did it, but it's okay.
Having so well.
I just put my questions together like about 20 minutes before the call, so at least I was prepared this time, so I feel better.
So I'm gonna have you go first.
You can have me go first. All right, Miss Host. So Tanea, even though you've invited me on, I think it's also an absolute wonderful time to talk about your journey, because you have recently transitioned to the US. You left me. One day I got a phone call and you were, I believe, in Ohio. And I'm like, oh, you're on vacation. Nice. And you got back. She's like, nah, I left. left the island a few days before school was about to start, and I'm like, well, what about my babies? But you just up and left. So my question is that how were you doing? How was that transition for you? Um, what and the second part of that question would be, what did you do to prepare yourself mentally for the transition?
That's funny. It's funny that you said like up and left because it happened quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, strategically. Like things unfolded so fast, I didn't even know what to say. I had no answers for anyone. I just knew that there was something bigger than what was going on in my world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that the way that I was doing things, the way that life was it wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving my children. There were bigger things that I needed to do. And this is not something that came upon me all of a sudden. And knowing that, I've always known that it's time for me to pursue my purpose. It's time for me to be serious about what it is that I want to do and not get different. So how did I prepare mentally was that basically life came together to let me know this is no longer comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Do something different. You're not moving. So I'm a
And our father, sorry to interject, but Tanea and I have this thing. This is what Tanea and I have. We love our father tremendously. And we have a saying amongst us. We say, our father has jokes. Because God has a way of making light of very serious situations. And because of our personality, we have to find humor in it. Because if we don't, it becomes a bit overwhelming. And throughout this podcast, you will hear us laughing a lot because that's what we do. We find joy and we find laughter in the serious times, in the happy times, in all times, because we know our Father's got us, and He's funny. He's got jokes, and we understand His jokes.
You know what I mean? You have to be, you got to be ready when you ask for what you ask for because it's not going to come the way you expect it. You know? It doesn't. I knew that I knew I didn't want to be in the corporate world. I spent 15 years working as a senior manager at a financial institution, assisting people and businesses with restructuring, winding down, figuring out new ways of doing things, bringing themselves back to life, all of that. I actually loved it because it hit a part of me as far as wanting to be a help to people, wanting to help people to understand their purpose, wanting to help people to figure things out and know that they have everything that they need.
Yes.
Want to help people to understand that. And in the work that I was doing, it fed that a little bit because I was working with families. I was working with people who had put their whole lifeline, like houses that their grandparents had built. They were putting it on the line in order for their business to thrive. And it wasn't working out. And so I had to sit down with families and say, okay, the way that you were doing things is actually not going to work for you. It's you need to do something else. And this is what will benefit you. Just the emotion that goes into that, the compassion that goes into that, I don't even know what to call it, but your soul goes into seeing other people prosper and seeing other people.
Yes.
So it fed that for me. And that's what I'm passionate about. But it also it fed me to a point where it made me comfortable and complacent.
Okay.
You know, because
Mhm.
that's I'm doing it, but I'm doing it on this minuscule level because it's not for what I'm supposed to be doing. You know,
Mhm.
it the illusion of fulfilling a purpose, but it actually not.
Mhm.
So when the pandemic hit, and I found myself having to fully commit to someone else's vision for what they want to do, i.e., my employer,
Mhm.
still having to uh, bring my family single-handedly through a pandemic. My family being my 2 children and myself, mentally, physically, through a pandemic. Those two worlds started to clash because now this person's agenda over here was not really meshing with what I needed to do for my family. And so things became uncomfortable and I had to make a decision, okay, like to be, you're filling a purpose and you're helping people out, but that's really not what you're supposed to be doing, right? So things just became uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's when it happens. That's when it happens. That's when transition happens. When things are uncomfortable. Yeah, when you're stretched and you're pulled and your mind starts to shift and you start to waver within yourself. And that's, I mean, yeah, I've spoken with several people, and that's how it happens. It's just this thing that overcomes, and it's just like I can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? And for most of us, and it's sad in life, but for most of us, it's at that point where you hit the bottom, where you hit ground zero. And I knew, even in my life, that's how it happened. So what would you say to those who might be going through something that's at that point of transition when they've had enough?
uh, you're at this point for a reason
Mm,
because it is time to shift. It's
yes.
time to do something different. And so be brave.
Yes.
It's scary. It's a lot. It's intense. Not everybody is gonna like the way you do things.
I didn't like it. I didn't like when you laughed.
It's I know, but I had to
Yeah.
brave and I had to jump. I likened it to those in Bermuda. I don't know if you know about Paget Island, and Paget Island is just off of St. George's.
Yes, yes.
And at Paget Island, there's another island that you have to swim to. And so when I used to Paget, I used to go with like a group of boys, maybe like 1 or 2 other brave girls. We used to swim to that other island, climb over the rocks, climb. There was actually a person living on that island. There was like some tent. We used to climb, walk through that place, and go to the channel. What the channel was is where the cruise ships come through in
Right.
harbor. We used to go to the channel to jump over the channel.
And it's summertime, so it's cruise ship season, and you're just jumping off the rock.
Into this bottomless ocean, jumping off. It's higher than Admiralty House. So we're talking about 40, 50 feet. And yeah, so I remember the first time we went over there, we went to this whole journey. I'm like, where the heck are we going? Oh my God. We got there. I look down, it's just ocean and it's just current going this way. So the boys jump over. No, 2 boys jump over. And everyone's like, okay, so who's going to go next? Everybody's standing there looking at each other like, you go, no, you go. And then the girls are like, well, who's going to be the first girl? And I was like, and I just ran past everybody and jumped into the. And at the bottom of the tunnel is like coral rock, so you have to clear that and get into the ocean.
Yeah.
So I liken me transitioning to this.
I get it. You gotta clear, you just gotta go at it. But know exactly where you gotta land.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, things aligned for me to take an opportunity to do what I do, make my next step. And I took it. I jumped. Yeah. That's
okay. That's a great move. All right. And you're doing well.
Thank you.
You're doing well. I'm so proud of you. Oh, touchy moment. So proud of you, girl. But you gotta go. You gotta go.
You have that's the conversation the last on. She was just adamant that I not be afraid of what I would and the moves that I needed to make, because she had so many things that she wanted to do, but she allowed fear to stop her.
Mm-hmm.
It was very brave of her to admit that to me. How she was honestly afraid to do certain things, and so there were successes that she could have had that she didn't choose because she was just scared.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had to. It's my time. And I would encourage anyone to do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it looked like a mess up from the outside, it was not a mess. It was not a mess.
So I like challenges, right? So I'm going to challenge this on the call. If it's something that you know that you need to overcome within the next 30 days, because it's a challenge, type it in and let's see what it is that you're going to take that jump for.
Yes.
Anybody brave enough to put it out there? Let's see what you're going to accomplish within the next 30 days. That one thing that you've been procrastinating at doing. Should I type mine? Like it's a whole list.
Now, what is good? Wow.
Because we have to get listen, let's be honest. We start the year and we say we're going to try to accomplish this for the sake of doing what's it called, New Year's resolutions. And obviously life happens. Especially when you start the journey of trying to accomplish something, right? One of your tasks. Case in point, we're trying to do this podcast and everything went wrong because we're trying to do something good. We're trying to encourage the people, right? So life happens. And so we tend to, when life happens, we tend to get discouraged and put things aside and look at the task and say, oh, it's too big for me to accomplish, and just get overwhelmed and put it aside in that regard. But what are the things that you really want to see change in your life that you haven't even picked up or haven't even begun the process? Let us know so we can see how we can work with someone to get through this process within the next 30 days. Because Tanea is amazing at looking at a problem and helping to break it down into little bite-sized pieces so you can get things accomplished. She has helped me numerous times. She's still in the process of helping me get through these tasks.
I appreciate that, Deosta.
Yeah.
And while everyone's typing, why don't you share with us what's something that you've learned about yourself in taking a risk that surprised you?
So these past 12 months have been big for me, and my children. And everything from last March has been a risk for me because I've literally had to start over, right? And so just step by step, just navigating through this new life. Yeah, so the biggest thing, or the most valuable thing I can say that has happened throughout this journey is learning how to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, breathing comes so naturally. We breathe. I'm talking now. I mean, I'm breathing. You know what I mean? But breathing in the sense that you take a minute to yourself and you exhale. And when you do that, you are mindful, you are present, you are in that moment. So your mind can get a bit of clarity. So you don't become overwhelmed with the stresses and everything that's going on around you. You don't get an attitude at the person who's not doing things the way you want the things to be done, right? You don't shout at your children, shout at your partner. You take a moment and you center yourself. You know, when faced with major decisions, I learned to breathe instead of just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so learning how to take time to breathe for myself so that I can connect with myself and make wise decisions. That is what I've learned that has helped me.
Yes. Breathe and feeling
Mm-hmm.
your feelings. Feeling what is your body doing? Because
Yes,
as you get anxious about what to do next, as you start to get angry about things that go on, your body physically reacts to it.
yes. You can
Well,
physically feel the tension and the pain and I mean,
yeah. How I get to Elizabeth now? Like, what's But if you feel it and you take that breath and you really start to track, okay, when like I get anxious and my chest tightens, like my heart starts pounding, and so I have to take that breath and start to really focus. Okay, my heart is pounding.
mm-hmm.
Why is it pounding
Yes,
right now? What's
yeah.
going on? And so it starts to calm me down because now I'm not focused anymore on what was freaking me out. I'm now focused on my heart now. I'm focused on what's happening and my attention is diverted. And so
Mm-hmm. Yes.
it's so it causes you to now think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, why am I mad?
Yes.
Is it really that important that I was that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't do it exactly the way that I wanted it to be done?
Exactly.
Or was it important, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
those things are precious nuggets to just take a
It
breath
really is.
on rather than react.
Yes. I mean, because it was debilitating at first because I didn't know what it was. I've heard people use the term anxiety and depression and stuff like that, and I knew about it on a shallow sort of surface level, obviously. But when it hit me, and I'm just like, what's going on inside my body? Because, like you said, it's tension. You physically, you feel the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you feel the fog in your mind. And I went to the doctor, like the GP. My GP just like, something's going on in my body. And and he started to break things down. And I'm like, really? That's what it is? And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to prescribe you anything, but these are some things that you can do, some natural things that you can do. And I'm like, wow. And again, going back to purpose, right? And me wanting to serve a community, having to have endured this physical pain and mental pain, I'm like, well, what are other women out there facing? If I'm facing this, you understand what I mean? And this is the first time I'm going through it. And luckily I reached out because it got to a point where it was unbearable, right? And I'm like, well, what happens to my sisters if they don't reach out? Then how are they gonna deal with it? You know what I mean? Like I was really concerned, more so for others than for myself. You know what I mean? Because if I'm like, I'm going through this, and then how are other people dealing with it? How are they getting through it? You know what I mean? So it's just, that's why I love to share this message. Like, you have to be able to find who you are at the core, at the inside. You have to be able to take time out for yourself, because we get so caught up in the day to day. And then I'm going to touch on this in a brief second, but we get so caught up in our day to day routine. And I don't want to call it a routine. I don't know what the word is for it. Maybe probably you can help me out. But it's almost like we're robotic. It's the day to day. Like, we wake up, we get ready for work, and we go to work, and we deal with our responsibilities, and we come home and we do dinner, and we might, do a little something extra, and then we go to bed and wake up and do the same thing all over again. So your body for the next day is already 90% conditioned, 90 to 95% conditioned. It's on autopilot. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you get an additional burden, your body has no room for it. It's just like piled stuff on top of stuff. And that's how you become bogged on, worried, stressed, depressed, anxiety. That's when all of that stuff kicks in. You know what I mean? But when you take a moment to sit back and say, hey, what is it that you want for yourself? What are you doing for yourself? You check your health, you check your health mentally, physically, emotionally. You check all of those things about yourself, because when you become the best of yourself, then you can give to other people.
Yeah, you check it and you write it down.
And you write it down. Yes. Sorry. So you take that, and it's a process. There is a process. Absolutely.
There's no power in writing things down.
Yes.
And not just the bad feelings. Writing down vision for yourself. Writing what you want for yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's power in the written word. That's one thing. Yeah, because even though there's times when you forget what you were doing, because like you said, you got caught up in the day to day, and you have it right there, back on it, and remind yourself not ago, but how far you've come.
Exactly. And then accountability partner as well. Like, you are my accountability partner. That's why we get to accomplish so many things. You know what I mean? Because I can't do this by myself. You want to see my day? I'm like, I can't do it by myself. I can't. It's too much. So you need someone in your corner that's going to keep you accountable and say, hey, you were supposed to have completed this by such and such a date. How are you making out? That's very important. Because oftentimes we think as strong, independent, all of these big hard words they put on us, strong, independent, black, woman, all of this stuff, right? That we're supposed to have it all together. And then I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say, I need help, I'm tapping out. And that's what I've learned. You know what I mean? We can't keep on taking this journey by ourselves, because it's not going to work. We were created for fellowship. And the Lord would bring people into our lives for such a time to help us throughout our journey.
Absolutely. We actually have someone, Lyrical Soul has said, as far as what she wants to accomplish, she said, I don't want my disabilities or my family to stop me from finding my true self.
Yes, my sister. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's fun.
That is so important. And the family part. I'm sorry.
Say that again?
I said that is so important. Especially the family part, because that plays a lot. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves for what we feel our family thinks of us. You know what I mean? And how we have to be this person within our family structure. And it's tiring. I have put that on myself for decades. My journey with my family, and that has caused me to pause on so much of my dreams and endeavors. So much. And it has caused me to be disabled because I could not move. I could not move in certain aspects. Like literally, I could not move. I would just, it was a lot. It was a lot. Your family, what your family can put on you. And so to be able to get from that, what I had to do through help of an accountability partner, through help of a life coach, through help of counseling, I had to learn what I wanted for myself apart from everybody else. And I had to make a decision to be committed to myself foremost. And that was the only thing. And I was 37 or 38 when I made that decision. So how many times did I go around the mountain trying to please other people?
Yeah.
Over 40. I'm just learning to live my life for me.
It's important to set aside other people's expectations of you. You can't you really have to be comfortable and be okay with all of your idiosyncrasies, all of your weirdness, you know.
Oh, I'm so weird.
That sets you aside from who you grew up around, who you grew up with, and what other people say you are, you know. And to be honest, I feel like all of that is training ground for the world. Because once you conquer that first nucleus, you could conquer anything, you know? Once you start worrying about whether or not your mom thinks you're pretty, or whether or not your auntie keeps calling you a bitch.
So true.
Once you start,
so true. And that's real words. Like the amount of things that my family have labeled me as, you understand? And this is one of the questions that I have for you, in essence, is that as people were misunderstood, right? Everyone's misunderstood because we have our own expectations, right? So everyone's misunderstood. So my question for you is, what was an insult that you've received that you were proud of? Like that was a difficult question for me to come up with because most people, they look at insults and immediately think of negativity, right? Especially if we have been taught from a young age, oh, you're slow, or you can't do this, or you can't do that by our family. Because it's not our friends, you know, it's our family. So what's something that you've heard that has actually helped you to become a better person?
Feeling weird.
You are weird to me, or you don't fit in, and that is your superpower.
You said I don't fit in?
Because you're over the top, like you're just extra. That's why you're in America doing Sunday day shows. Like, who does that?
Who does, like, really, who does these things? What are you doing? I used to pray, like, Jesus, can I just want regular things? Because this is crazy. But yeah, I would definitely say not marching to the beat of everyone else's drum, not really doing things the way that it is expected of me to. I'm totally okay with that.
Yes. Myself included, like people, back to family, we're going to talk about family and close loved ones. I still consider family.
Yeah,
they were always,
coming from Bronski, she's saying you should be able to be yourself around your family. And if you can't, there's an issue with that family dynamic.
So I have learned that there are many issues with our family dynamics here on Wonder Island. I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but yes, we can be ourselves, but in my family in particular, everyone for the most part we get along very well. But I have been told, or just comments coming back to you, oh, you know, you think you're, you know, you have this high standard and da 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 da, all of this type of stuff. But I'm like, well, and the funny part, one time somebody's like, oh, you think he's going with a silver spoon? And I'm like, if my mother fed me, I'm pretty sure it was gold. And I'm saying that with confidence, and I'm laughing because it has taken me a very long time, me personally, it has taken me a very long time to understand the sacrifice that my mother, my grandmother, and my uncle, rest his soul, has made for me to just have the best of opportunities. You know what I mean? And my standard is high because I choose not. I choose not to live in lack. Why should I? Why should I? With everything I've been taught, with everything that I have shared with those who are under me, because you know, those who know that my heart is for my little people, my cousins, because I don't have siblings, so they're like my sisters and my brothers, right? And I do everything for them to set. Look, see, look, read that comment from Bronski on my side. All right, so I see. Right, so everything.
Everyone looks up to you, especially your younger cousin.
Everything is for them, you know, and what I've had to endure from the elders has been painstaking for years and years and years. But I do it because I was given the opportunity. I was the first one to be given such an opportunity. And so I take it very personally that my younger cousins, that my younger sibling, my younger cousins and their siblings have the opportunity to know that there is much more to life outside of this island. Not just outside of this island, but there's much more to life, much more experiences, much more adventures that you can have by not just fitting in and conforming to the norm. You can use your mind and expand and be and accomplish anything you want in this world. Have doors been closed in my face? Many, many for many years. But I've persevered because of the support I've had from, like I said, my mom, my nana, and my uncle Howard, you know, and there's in my circle. And so you might see me now and think, you know, I'm still got a little standard. Yeah, I do. And I'm saying it with confidence, like I said, because of those that are following me, that need to know that they have everything it takes to do whatever they choose to do in this world. So every time I leave my door, I ensure that I leave with a high level of confidence, of self-worth, of value, because it has taken me a very long time to understand who I am and my worth, you know, from a physical aspect to a mental and emotional aspect. And so when you see me with my head held high, it's because I have endured a great, great journey to be where I am. And I'm still got a long way to go. But I know that I'm walking on purpose and in purpose because of.
You brought up a great point about having to change the way of thinking. And actually, we have another comment saying, my family was very religious, and since I was little, I was taught certain things, but now that I'm older, it's complicated for me to be complicated now between who I was taught to be and who I am or who I want to be. So let's talk about that. It doesn't have to just be religious. It could be whatever it is whatever ideal or dynamic that you were originally told that you should be or walk in, and come to the realization that, wait a minute, not all of that is actually, that's not really for me.
We love that comment in the sense that that happens, and like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be religious, but it happens. It happens to us all, because there are always two truths. It's their truth and it's our truth, you know. And sorry, for religion is the truth, right? It's three truths. It's so much truth that's going on. But what I have learned, because I too, from a religious aspect, I too had to endure that. I was a youth pastor. No, sorry, not youth pastor. I was a youth leader. I actually wanted to pursue to be a youth pastor, but I was a youth leader. And I became pregnant. Oh, not once, but twice. I saw my cousin Jakina's son once. I heard his going off, but but and so you could imagine what I had to endure with that. And I'm not putting anything against religious beliefs or anything like that, because I feel that, especially in a time that we're living in, we need structure, and religion brings that aspect of structure. But when you become spiritually connected to the soul of who your God is, whether it's Jesus, whomever your creator is, then you begin to know your truth from your creator, and your creator will impart in you who you are. Absolutely. And that is how I will leave it. And all of those other all of those other religious and institutional aspects will fall to the wayside, because you will know from your creator, whomever your creator is, who you are. And my creator calls me whole and complete, without flaw. That's who my creator made me be. So pick the burns out of that. You have to know who you are.
Yeah, no one has the right.
No one has the right.
No one has the authority. No one has the blueprint. No one knows who you are supposed to be. They can, of course, have their wants and desires. Of course, love you, your family, your friends around you. They have these expectations of who they think you should be based on their perspective of who they are.
Yes.
Other conversation. One of the 4 agreements. So no one can decide this for you. You really have to sit with yourself and understand that you are here for a reason.
Yes.
You're here for a purpose. You have something to do.
And that's it. That is all we're really called to do. The existence of life. I mean, all of the other stuff is just added drama.
Oh yeah. You need to be sitting there figuring out, okay, so why am I here? What is it that I need to do? How do I get it done? This is really what other people think it should be, what other people decide it should look like if you love God, what it looks like if none of that matters.
It really doesn't matter to me, and not only that, it's none of your business. It's none of my business what you think of me. It's none of your business. That's your business. Exactly. It's a hot new circus, so I'll say sip water and mind my business. That's all I'm doing. Minding my own business, because it's not my business to worry about you. I can't. For everything, viewers, for everything that you have to go through on a day-to-day basis, you can't take on other people's issues about what they feel and how do they. You cannot. You can empathize with them. You know,
Don't.
if you choose to have a conversation, have the conversation and lay everything else to the side. But it's not your business to worry about the labels that society, I don't care who your society is. It could be your partner, your children, your parents, your friends. I don't care. It's whatever labels they want to put on you. You cannot take it on because you have to worry about working on who you are, working on loving you.
About that because they feel like, oh my goodness, that means I'm being selfish. I'm not thinking about anybody else. I'm just thinking about me, and I don't want to be haughty or arrogant. But in reality, in taking care of yourself, you
What
take.
do you do when you get on the airplane? You got to put your mask on first before you can save anyone. Before you can save your child, you have to put your mask on first.
Put your mask on. You have to.
When we do our grounding sessions in VU, and that's another thing you guys have got to come out and check our grounding sessions because they help you to clear all of that negativity, all of that toxicity, all of those thoughts that are plaguing you. But when we do our grounding sessions, our coach Enrico, he has this analogy of a cup, and he pours water into the cup. And it just symbolizes, you know, pouring into life, everything, all of the stuff that comes in life. And what happens when the cup is full, you start to get spillage. So when we equate that to our life, when we're pouring in all of the good aspects of who we are, you know, because now we have to switch the channel. We can't keep on taking on all of this negativity, people. We have to start pouring positive things into ourselves. We have to start speaking to ourselves correctly. We have to start encouraging ourselves daily, minute by minute, you know. Diasta, you got this. Diasta, you're beautiful. Diasta, you can do it. You know, Diasta, you know, look at you, pat yourself on the back. All of that stuff. I have to be able to pour it into myself constantly, so that when it overflows, that's what I give to other people. I have to be full. You know, I can't walk around with a half a cup. That's how my life broke. That's how I was broken, because I was half a cup. I felt I was inadequate. I was being depleted. I was getting empty because I was giving out to so many people. I was worrying about what this person thought and that person thought. And oh my gosh, I was worrying about my partner and my mother and my father that was sick in the hospital. And I was worrying about this and that. And I'm not saying it because I all of a sudden stopped and said, okay, I'm just going to worry about myself. And like Tania said, being haughty or being selfish. It wasn't. It was understanding, stopping, taking a moment to breathe, and realizing that I was empty. And when I realized that, and I got the tools to start filling myself up, I made sure that my cup was to the top. You know what I mean? So when I walked out of my house, I felt confident. I was living my truth. It wasn't a lie. I didn't have on a mask and going around pretending like everything was okay. I was actually okay. When I posted pictures of me doing adventurous things, and you know, because I always post like what me and my family does, right? We post pictures of things. When I was smiling, I was actually smiling. You know, I wasn't pretending like everything was okay and I was going home and going back to a broken home. You know, but I had to learn bit by bit how to fill my cup. Yeah. And then once my cup was full, I was able to call Tanea and say, hey, Tanea, how you doing? Because I can give her love. I can give her that fullness of who I was.
And even using that same analogy, it's important what you fill your cup with.
Right. All that positive. That's what I'm saying.
That's the overflow. You're overflowing positivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the spillage is positive affirmation.
Love and gratitude and appreciation and kindness. So
when you're kind to yourself,
yes,
positivity to yourself, when you're self, you begin to have compassion for other people.
That's it.
But you know what it feels like to tell yourself something positive versus tell yourself something negative.
Yeah.
So let's say I've left my keys in the door. This happened, like, and then it'll be the next. My keys, they're in the door. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You're so forgetful. I can't believe you did this again. This is ridiculous. What type of parent just like, it's just you and these girls. Why would you do this? This is dumb. I could keep doing that.
Yeah.
Flogging myself.
Yes.
And when my children do something that's a mistake, the only thing that's gonna come out is gonna spill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, how could you do this?
So true.
If I can give myself space and I can say, okay, so this is what we're gonna do to make sure that it doesn't happen next time, girl. Don't worry about it. You got this. Like, we're just gonna not do this. Conversation having with myself, village into my children when they make a mistake is, all right, so this is how we're gonna do this the next time. So you have to fill yourself up with these positive things. For yourself to have positive conversations with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you don't worry about taking care of yourself. Because as you take care of yourself, what overflows onto the people is going to be what you've given to yourself.
This is it.
You know?
This is it. You hit it. You hit it.
So,
yes. So one of my last questions is, give us one or two things. You can either give us a fun fact about yourself or a fun life hack that you've learned, something that just got you through. Because we're talking about living on purpose, right? And just
a fun fact or a fun life hack. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Let's think about a fun fact. A fun fact is that I'm actually really good at a lot of different things.
And tooting your horn is one of them. Go, girl.
Yes, I'm gonna toot my horn so that I can toot your horn, because I know, I know what it feels like to big myself up. So I want to big you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. It's funny to me because while I say that, I don't necessarily try things that I know I'm not gonna be bad at. That I know I'm not gonna be good at. So you're not gonna find me trying to play basketball because I think I'm good at everything. You know, I'm good at what I make an attempt at things that I've assessed my own abilities, and I'm like, I think I can do that.
You do well. You really do. Oh. So I don't know. Those were my 5 questions. I can never leave a conversation with you without asking how are my babies, because that would always not a curveball podcast or not. But yeah.
They are hilarious. They are a dancing, singing, loud, whiny, funny bunch of children. They are doing well. They are adjusting well to their new surroundings and growing so fast. Surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting to see myself, and it helps me to navigate them a little bit better. not even just myself and their dad. So it helps me to navigate a bit better and also have a better understanding of who I am.
Yes.
Because I things that I thought were not okay about myself,
Mm-hmm.
I see in my kids, and I recognize that I thought it wasn't okay because other people didn't think it was okay. But I actually think it's pretty cool, which means
Mm-hmm. So I've learned that too. I think children are given to us to like sort out past issues we've had with ourselves.
it's like,
I'm joking, but it's true.
I mean, there are so many. The generational curses are so real, and that we there are things that we do sometimes that we don't even know why we do them until we find
Mhm.
a family story. And you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's
The
real.
smallest of things, yeah.
So just being cognizant of that has helped me to kind of fill in the gaps where they weren't filled in for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my prayer, and I know I'm not perfect, so there are going to be gaps. So my prayer is that as our generation continues on, they will not only have those repairs, but they will also have the tools to fill in the gaps.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Because there will, yeah. Especially with the changes that are going on universally. It's to prepare the children for such a change in history is we need those added prayers, honestly. I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words, but I know that the things that I have learned and the generational um, teachings that I've had, good, bad, or indifferent, the generational teachings that I've had, um, it it will help. But the brave new world that these children have to endure now, it's like we have to just prayerfully equip them for what they're about to experience. Yeah.
And like I said, with
Mhm.
in episode 2, you can check that out on YouTube on Midday Muse. Um, we have to be transparent with our kids
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
talk to them so that they can talk to us,
Hmm.
and we can enlighten them and help them to understand that the things that they're feeling, the things that they're going through, is something that can be worked out. Like you don't have to just sit in your head about it, and
Right.
you know, uh, it's just important for us to talk to our kids. That
Mhm.
to be friends with your mama. You were friends. I'm not your friend. Blah 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 blah. And this is not a friendship that I'm even referring to here.
Mhm.
This is an understanding that we as parents are leaders.
Yes.
We are creating kingdoms.
Hmm.
We are creating
That
the.
is.
We can't hide from this responsibility. We can't hide
Mhm.
from our children because
Mhm.
they are a part of us, and they need to know why they do what they do, so that
Mhm.
expound on it or cut that shit off.
Yeah. That is it. And I've learned over the past 12 months that I have a serious anger issue.
Mm.
I can like that in a second. Right? And but most people wouldn't, unless you live in the confines of the community, most people wouldn't know. They'd be like, "Oh, I see you're so sweet and kind and nice," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." But don't get on my bad side because I'll flip in a hot second, right? And I see that
That's
in
what
my children. I started to see it a few months ago. I started to see it in my children, and I say it within the past 12 months because it's like I said at the beginning of the conversation. It's been a rocky time for us, for all of us, right? So I started to see my anger issues creep up in there, and I'm like, hey, Diaz, you gotta get a hold of that because my daughter She's a feisty one. And I just had a quick snap of her being a 13-year-old sassy pants with yellow skin fever and just trying to shout at me and me having to take her hair off. So I'm like, yes, hold on. So I had to work on myself and my anger issues for the sake of my children.
This is,
you know what I mean? Because I'm like, we can't have this in another couple of years because it's not going to work out well. And so it's these small things, you know, about yourself that you have to be honest with yourself and be able to work on so that you can help your children be the best that they can be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had to tell my daughter, she was trying to get away with something and giving me a whole story. And I'm like, ma'am, you came from me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I knew exactly.
Did you do that when I was that age? I tell my mom as often as I can that I'm sorry.
I often, and I'm just like, I know my mama is laughing. I wish I could just look to the side and see the look on her face. Because yeah.
Cast and grind. They certainly are. Love them to pieces.
But you said you have to be okay with yourself, the good,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be willing to work on it. So that where you see these things rising up in the next generation,
Mm-hmm.
it out.
Exactly.
Or you can, like I said, expound, because there's some positive things there are positive things about ourselves that other people have not liked.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's not what you want. So you have to make a decision and understand, okay, people don't really like just something, a laugh. People don't really like my laugh. Those around me as I was growing up, they were like, oh my God, your laugh is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. I'm just throwing something out there. And then your child comes along and you haven't resolved those insecurity issues you have with your laugh. And you hear your child's laugh, immediately you got PTSD. What are you gonna say to your child? No, don't laugh like that.
Right.
Laughed on. You're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Whereas if you deal with that and you accept that, okay, this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is me. This is who I am. When you hear your child make that same laugh that sounds just like yours,
Mm-hmm.
try to shut her up. You're gonna laugh and help her be comfortable with who she is.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing the next generation along further.
Mm-hmm.
And Don, it made you feel a certain way because what was a part of you wasn't liked. You're encouraging it. You're helping it to blossom in another.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that translated into any other situation where
So true.
you made to feel like less than, or
Mm-hmm.
what you were doing is not right, and really it's just who you are, and it's okay to be you.
Mm-hmm. It is okay to be you.
Bloggers 118. We did start late. I am so excited. We had a good bit of people join us today. Thank you everyone who joined us.
Love you. Thank you.
And back, even through all of our technical difficulties. To apologize to the Facebook audience because they missed this. This was a great. Yes, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you for making. Oh, one more thing before we go, and it's all to do with creating the best version of yourself, living your best life. Tanea called. I called Tanea on Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday. I rarely call Tanea, but I'm like, I'm calling you. You know, I had to speak to her. I'm just like, oh, so you're gonna join in on Thursday because you called, and I just feel like the heavens open, and it was a big sign to say Esther's gonna be on Thursday, and she knows that this is my greatest fear. This is me jumping off of that cliff thing that she was talking about earlier. This is this is my big jump. But thank you so much, Tania, for pushing me. And you do many a times. You just push me over the edge, and you say sink or swim. And all the time, I have learned to swim. So I just thank you and for having me. And I'm honored to be on this beautiful podcast that I know it will do very well.
Thank you so much, Dee. I love you.
I love you too. Kiss
Bye.
my baby for me. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.